Obama's move is certainly a very public display of aggression by kicking out 35 Russian diplomats and shutting down 2 Russian embassy complexes. The president has pretty much ensured massive media attention, and he has gotten it. But if he really wanted to retaliate, why do this? It's public, but pretty meaningless in the scheme of things. Now, I'm not diminishing the hacking concerns here. Those are real, and Russia should pay the price. But instead of really retaliating, President Obama is making a whole lot of public moves designed to generate headlines, designed to gain attention, but none of them will have much effect on Russia. Former CIA head James Woolsey has little use for the president's latest move. Watch him here talking to me.
We want to project publicly we can work with you. We want to...
and this is not doing that, by the way.
I think that's right. But in the back door, or out our back door, we want to do something to them that really gets their attention. I'm talking about something that would be really effective, such as a cyber attack against them of some sort.
In other words, retaliate in kind. Retaliate in kind. The author of the best-selling book, Defeating Jihad, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, joins me with more on this. And Dr. Gorka, welcome. Good to see you here today. Theodore Roosevelt said, "Walk softly, but carry a big stick." And in this case, instead of walking softly, we are stampeding. But, you know, it sure doesn't feel like we got much of a stick. If we really wanted to confront Russia, aren't there more powerful ways of doing so?
Absolutely. If you were a leader and if you wanted to actually solve problems and not just talk about them. I mean, Teddy said, walk softly and carry a big stick. Today we have a president who just talks a lot and doesn't have a stick. So it's dilettantism. It's amateur hour in the White House, whether it's sending 50 troops to fight ISIS in the Middle East, whether it's telling Putin to knock it off, or whether it's this latest just pathetic attempt to respond to what they say is a very serious charge. So it's what we've come to be used to in the last 8 years, isn't it, Trish? In
some ways, is it, you know, embarrassing for President Obama in that Putin's basically saying, yeah, I don't care what the heck you're doing. I'm not even going to respond. I'm not going to kick out American diplomats in Russia because I'm just going to sit tight and wait for the new administration.
Look, I'm not a fan of Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin, let's remind everybody, was a second-rate colonel in the KGB. He's not a good guy. He's an anti-status quo actor. He doesn't share our values. But he has done something quite impressive. With one press statement, he has demonstrated to the world how utterly irrelevant President Obama is. He's basically saying, I'm not going to deal with you because you're a lame duck anyway. And unfortunately, on this point, he's absolutely right.
You know, Donald Trump put out a Facebook message today, and he talked about building the military, saying we're going to be building up our military. We're going to make our military so big and so strong and so great. It's going to be so powerful that I don't think we're ever going to have to use it. Nobody's going to mess with us. That I can tell you. I mean, is this part of the, you know, carrying a big stick? In other words, you want to at least embrace the presence of a threat in that you are a threat to the likes of Russia. You are a threat to the likes of North Korea. They know that if we decide to, we can really do something. And by the way, we could right now. It just so happens that perhaps under this administration, there's a lack of willingness to really follow through.
Look, Statecraft 101 is based upon the principle that diplomacy is your primary tool, but diplomacy is completely ineffectual unless it is backed up with the option of force. This administration has denied that. It's all about narrative. It's all about spin. It's not about national security or the truth. So, yes, look, the bumper sticker is very clear. We've had it used again and again and again, not only by President-elect Trump, but also by General Flynn, his national security advisor designate. They've said, look, we are not interested in creating new enemies. That's number one. So we're not here to kick over the hornet's nest. But, to quote the Marine Corps, and they've used this, the transition team have used this, America under President Trump will have you will see in America that will be no better friend to our friends and no worse enemy. And that's very, very easy to believe and very different from the last 8 years.
And the problem is, over the last 8 years, we've been trying to sort of be everyone's friend, no one's enemy, and we've been walking this middle ground where, like the line that got drawn that you can't cross, somehow everyone thinks they can cross.
Well, yes, I mean, we had a White House that pretended it wants to be friends with everybody, but remember, what did they actually do? They belittled and abandoned our true friends, whether it was Egypt in the Middle East, whether it was the Baltic nations, whether it was Ukraine, and they treated our enemies as if they're our bosom buddies. I mean, giving $150 billion to a nation that the State Department, Obama's State Department, says is the biggest sponsor of state terrorism, that's the mullahs in Iran. How does that serve the U.S. national interest?
Well, and just look what happened in Israel, of course. I mean, you start to add all these things up and you wonder what the heck is going on in his final hurrah. You get Israel, Russia, and it's going to have some consequences. Dr. Gorka, thank you so much. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Good to see you.